Good morning, students. Today's EdCom topic is doctor patient relationship. So, we have already covered one lecture on this topic. So, now we will see some more points about the doctor patient relationship and also the rights of a patient and duties of the doctor. Okay, so first, introduction to this topic. This doctor patient relationship is an as old as the origins of human race. So it is often said that the practice of medicine started as an art, then evolved as a science, and has now become a trade. But the truth is that practice of medicine is a combination of all three. So, the doctor patient relationship is central to the practice of medicine and is essential for the delivery of high quality healthcare in the diagnosis and treatment of a disease. Patients must have confidence in the competence and trustworthiness of their doctor. They must feel they can confide in him as they would in their parents and siblings. Establishment of good rapport with the patient is the most important. So, the doctor patient relationship forms one of the foundations of contemporary medical ethics. This relationship is deteriorating globally, and the situation is appalling in developed world of Europe or USA, where the litigation is routine, and the conditions in India are also worsening. If we say that the society is at fault for this, or that a huge global conspiracy is being plotted against the doctors, then we would be behaving like an ostrich who buries his head in the sand to avoid the reality. So, uh, the societal factors are changing, and we have to change the way we practice. So, uh, there is saying that when we say that a person or a situation is hopeless, we close the door in the face of God. So, despite all the constraint, it is possible even today to practice competent and caring medicine while combining use of science and technology. And the word fiduciary derives from the Latin word for confidence or trust. This bond of trust between the doctor and patient is essential to begin the process of healing. It is the foundation for doctor patient relationship. This relationship surpasses ethnic, socio-cultural, and economic considerations. So it is based on the premise that doctor will put the needs of the patient first. So, for a sound doctor patient relationship, doctors should not only understand biomedical aspects of the treatment as well as psychological, social, and cultural dimension of health and illness. So, traditional concept of doctor patient relationship is based on Parsons theory or Parsons model. Talcott Parsons, a social scientist in 1951, theorized the concept of doctor patient relationship. So, based on him, this doctor patient relationship got the ideal type of Parsons model. So, Parsons' ideal patient or the sick role of patient is defined as the patient has rights or permitted to give up some activities and responsibilities, and he is regarded as being in need of care. And in return, obligations of the patient, in return what he or she has to give means must want to get better quickly and seek help and cooperate with the doctor. And the doctor's role of Parsons model, the doctor has to apply a high degree of skill and knowledge to the problems of illness, and he or she should act for the welfare of patient and community rather than for own self interest, desire for money and advancement, etc. And the doctor should be objective and emotionally detached and should be guided by the rules of a professional practice. The doctor is granted right to examine patients physically and to inquire into the intimate areas of physical and personal life, and doctor is granted considerable autonomy in professional practice. Doctor occupies the position of authority in relation to the patient. So these four types of doctor-patient relationship I have already shown you. So the patient control is low and physician control is low. Both are low in default type, and then in paternalistic, which is the oldest model of the doctor-patient relationship, where the patient is low, doctor control will be high. And consumerism is where the patient control is high and doctor control is low. And mutuality is both the patient and doctor having equally high control. So again I am reviewing this. So the doctor role is he has to apply a high degree of skill and knowledge to the problem of illness. So he has to give all his skills and knowledge to the patient's illness, and the doctor should act for the welfare of patient and community rather than for own self-interest and desire for money, advancement, etc. And he should be guided by the rules of the professional practice. And the right of the doctor is that he has granted the right to examine patients physically and to inquire into the intimate areas. So many patients will be objecting to when they touch the intimate areas, but the doctor has a right to examine the patient physically and inquire into the intimate area, and granted considerable autonomy in professional practice. So the doctor has considerable required autonomy in his professional practice, and he occupies a position of authority in relation to the patient because the doctor has having much knowledge compared to the patient. So a model doctor patient relationship should have these four components, that is trust, compassion, open and honest communication, and respect towards each other. So why the doctor patient communication is unique? So the trust, first important point is that trust. Patients on the first visit share their most personal information to someone they have never met before. So that is very much true. So they share their most personal information to someone, that is a doctor, who they have never met before, and they look to you for guidance when making critical healthcare decisions. And within minutes of meeting, patients are often required to disrobe for a physical examination and are placed in a vulnerable situation. So, these things will be very much unique only to the doctor patient relationship. So, the communication and the trust between each other. So, because the within minutes of meeting, patients are often required to disrobe for a physical examination and are placed in a vulnerable. So many patients will not be ready to disrobe themselves and allow the doctor to touch wherever he requires to examine him. So like that, all those will come into action. If patient physician relationship exists when a physician serves a patient medical needs. Physician's ethical responsibility is to place patient's welfare above the physician's own self-interest. So, the ethical responsibility of physician is to place the patient's welfare, that is, the goodness of the patient, it should be placed on the top priority more than the physician's own self-interest. And relationship is entered into by mutual consent between the doctor and the patient. In certain circumstances, a limited patient physician relationship may be created without the patient's explicit agreement. Such circumstances include when physician provides emergency care or provides care at the request of patient's treating physician, and when a physician provides medically appropriate care for a prisoner under court order. Okay, so these are the circumstances where limited relationship may be created without the patient's explicit agreement. Okay, so when a patient that is a prisoner under court order, the physician has to provide the medically appropriate care. And when a patient examines a patient in the context of independent medical examination, And the physicians are not ethically required to accept all the prospective patients. A physician may decline to establish a patient physician relationship with a prospective patient in following circumstances. The patient requests care that is beyond the physician's competence or scope of practice. So, the patient is requiring care which is beyond the physician's competence or his scope of practice, and the patient lacks the resources needed to provide the physician lacks the resources needed to provide safe, competent, respectful care for the individual. And the meeting the medical needs of the prospective patient could seriously compromise the physician's ability to provide the care needed by his or her other patients. The individual is abusive or threatens the physician, staff, or other patients. So, the physicians are not ethically required to accept all the prospective patients, and those patients are under these circumstances. You can read while I am reading. I hope you are understanding it. So, the rights, coming to the rights of the patients. So, to courtesy, respect, dignity, and timely responsive attention to his or her needs. Okay, a patient has a right to be treated with courtesy, respect, with appreciation of his individual dignity and protection of his need for privacy. So, the patient has right to get courtesy and dignity, respect from the doctor, and to receive information from their physician, and to have opportunity to discuss the benefits, risk, and cost of appropriate treatment alternatives, including the risk, benefit, and costs of foregoing treatment. So this patient's rights of the patient, it may come as a question for you. So note down, if you are having a, take a book and a pen and note down all these points. So the patient has right to be given by healthcare provider information concerning the diagnosis, planned course of treatment, alternative risk, and prognosis. So he has a right to ask questions about their health status or recommended treatment when they do not fully understand what has been described, or to have their questions answered. Okay, so the patient is has having the right to ask the questions about their health status or recommended treatment when they do not understand fully what has been described by the doctor, and he or she has right to make decisions about the care the physician recommends, and to have those decisions respected by the doctor. Okay, that is the right to refuse any type of treatment, and right to estimate the expenses. So the patient has right to receive, upon request prior to treatment, a reasonable estimate of charges for medical care. So he has also the right to know what charges have been levied upon him, and to have the physician and other staff respect the patient privacy and confidentiality. And he has right to obtain the copies or summaries of their medical records, and the patient has right to obtain a second opinion, and he has right to be advised of any conflicts of their interest the physician may have in respect to their care, and the patient has right to take the continuity of the care, and right to express grievance. The patient has right to express grievances regarding any violation of his or her rights through the grievance procedure of the healthcare provider or healthcare facility which served him or her, and to the appropriate state licensing agency. And the patient also has right to treatment for any emergency medical condition that will deteriorate if minimum emergency treatment is not given. Okay, so we have totally here 5 and here 4, like that total we can write 10 points easily. So, first one, to courtesy, respect, and dignity, timely responsive attention, and to receive information from the physicians regarding various things, and to ask questions about their health status and recommended treatment, and to make decisions about the care of the physician recommends, and also to have the physician and other staff respect the patient privacy and confidentiality, and to obtain the copies or summaries of their medical records, to obtain a second opinion, and to be advised of any conflicts of interest the physician may have in respect to their care, and to continue the treatment or not, and also to express the grievance if the patient has experienced any grief or during the um, treatment procedure. He has right to express his grievance, and also he has a right to get the emergency care whenever required. And coming to the responsibilities of the patients, truthful and forthcoming with their physicians and strive to express their concerns clearly. So, a patient is responsible for providing to the healthcare provider, to the best of his or her knowledge, accurate and complete information about present complaints, past illness, hospitalization, and other matters. So, he has to be truthful and forthcoming with their physicians, and he has to provide a complete medical history as they can, including information about past illness, medication, hospitalization, etc. And he has to cooperate uh, with the agreed on treatment plans, and accept the patient has to accept care from medical students, residents, and other trainees under appropriate supervision, but refusal of care by a trainee should be respected. Meeting their financial responsibilities with regard to medical care, or discuss financial hardships with their physicians, and recognize that a healthy lifestyle can often prevent or mitigate illness. So, the patient should be aware of and refrain from behavior that unreasonably places the health of others at risk. And also, the patients must refrain from being disruptive in the clinical setting, and not knowingly initiate or participate in the medical fraud, and report illegal or unethical behavior by physicians or other healthcare professionals to the appropriate medical societies, licensing boards, or law enforcement authorities. So if the patient feels that he has seen any illegal or unethical behavior of the physician where he went, that physician, if he is involving in all those things, he can directly report to the medical society or licensing board or enforcement authorities. And the patient is responsible for the following the treatment plan recommended by the physician. So, and also he has a responsibility for keeping the appointments, and for if he or she is unable to do so for any reason, he has to notify the healthcare provider, and he is responsible for his or her actions if he or she refuses treatment or does not follow the healthcare provider's instructions, and responsible for assuring that financial obligations are fulfilled in a timely manner. So these are few more additional points I have explained. So the responsibilities of the patient we have seen till now, and the patient safe discharge from an inpatient unit. During that time, the physician should determine that patient is medically stable and ready for discharge from the treating facility, and the doctor should collaborate with those the patient should collaborate with those healthcare professionals and others who can facilitate a patient discharge, to establish that a plan is in place for medically needed care that considers the patient needs, particular needs and preferences. And if a medically stable patient refuses to discharge, physicians should support the patient's right to seek further review, including consultation with an ethics committee or other appropriate institutional resource. In general, physicians should not treat themselves or members of their own families. However, it may be acceptable to do so in limited circumstances, like in emergency setting or isolated setting where there is no other qualified physician available. And in such situations, physicians should not hesitate to treat themselves or family members until another physician becomes available. For short So once again we'll see the duties of doctors. In emergency medical service, the physician has to immediately render emergency medical care and protect life. He cannot refuse this emergency life care services to anyone. So the guidelines as laid down by the Honorable Supreme Court are: a patient who needs emergency medical care should be admitted. In case there are no vacant beds, the patient has to be given all due care. The doctor or medical officer shall make necessary arrangements to get the patient transferred to another hospital in an ambulance. He will first ascertain whether the recipient hospital has beds. Patient will be accompanied by an RMO during the transfer. An attending doctor will document all the details, condition of the patient, treatment given, etc., and will write his name in a clear, legible hand and put his complete signature with date and time. So that is for emergency treatment, and for the second one, that is disclosure of crimes. So whenever during the course of treating his patient he becomes aware of the commission of or intention of committing an offense punishable under the following sections, he is duty bound to inform the police. So offenses against public tranquility, offenses relating adulteration of food and drugs, and offenses affecting life. The following cases are to be reported to police by the doctor on duty in casualty. All cases of injuries and burns, the circumstances of which suggest commission of an offense by somebody, and all vehicular, factory, or other unnatural accident cases, especially when there is a likelihood of patient's death or grievous hurt, and cases of suspected or evident sexual assault, cases of suspected or evident criminal abortion, cases of unconsciousness where its cause is not natural or not clear, and all cases of suspected or evident poisoning or intoxication, and the cases referred from court or otherwise for age estimation, and cases brought dead with improper history creating suspicion of an offense, and cases of suspected self infliction of injuries or attempted suicide, any other case not falling under the above categories but has legal implications. So these are all the cases where the doctor has to disclose the crime of the patient if he knows that he has committed a mistake or has the intention to commit a mistake. So these are called medico-legal cases. All these conditions the doctor has to inform the police. And collection of samples and information. So section 201 of IPC deals with punishment for causing disappearance of evidence. While performing any medical examination, the doctor should always keep in mind the fact that any such case may have legal implications in the future, and hence should always collect whatever information or samples that might be needed by the investigative agencies. A patient cannot be detained on grounds of non-payment of hospital charges. This may constitute the offense of illegal confinement under section 340-342 IPC. So the police are to be informed whenever necessary, and all help necessary should be extended. Documentation is very essential. The condition of patient about and the consent taken by the patient, procedure performed or treatment given, etc. at that instant time, and do not leave anything for completion later on. It should be remembered that if you have not documented it, you have not done it. Legible copies of medical records should be furnished whenever required by the investigative agencies, courts, or the relatives of the patient. The legal procedures are to be followed, and all legal formalities should be completed. A legally valid consent is a must before starting any intimate examination procedure or any case where a conflict in future is anticipated. The hospital documents should be preserved for the prescribed period as given below by various authorities. in patient records for at least 5 years and OPD records for 3 years. 3 years from the date of commencement of treatment as per the MCA, and at least 3 to 5 years as per Clinical Establishment Act 2010. As per the Hospital Manual of DGHS, that is, first inpatient medical records should be maintained for 10 years, and medico legal registers 10 years, and outpatient records 5 years. Records and documents should not be manipulated or tampered with. The medical practitioner should refrain from being a party to unethical or unlawful acts. In no case should the patient be neglected. So the rights of doctor is to decide whether or not to undertake the case and decide what treatment to give. So the doctor-patient relationship in the past used to be paternalistic type of relationship, and because physicians in the past were people who have higher social status, and the doctor is seen as a sacred occupation which saves people's lives. The advices given by the doctors are seen as paramount mandate. And now at present the relationship is becoming of consumeristic and mutual type, and the patient nowadays have higher education and better economic status, and the concept of patient's autonomy has come into role, and the ability to question doctors by the patient has been increased. And improving the doctor patient relationship nowadays also, the doctors have to be active listening. Okay, so the listening quality has to be very much sharp. Okay, the doctor should be an active listener, and the non-verbal communication has to be present between the doctor and patient, and the agendas has to be kept by the doctor correctly, and empathize the patient. So the doctor should have empathy over the patient, and educating the patient about the situation, about their condition, and reassuring the patient and agreeing on a treatment plan, taking responsibility of the condition of the patient and avoiding overreacting, and establishing boundaries for the doctor patient relationship. So the Consumer Protection Act 1986. So this was uh, this act was present in protection for the patients and also for the doctors. So the medical profession was included under this act in 1995, and it empowers the consumer with right to safety, information, choice, heard, redressal, and consumer education, and the relationship between patient and medical professional as contractual and not a master servant relationship. There are no court fees to be paid to file a complaint in consumer forum or commission. So lodging a complaint in this format, so the proof of negligence by the doctor where the patient can lodge a complaint is that the essentials of negligence are 4 Ds. There was a duty towards patient, there was deficiency in duty, and this directly resulted in the problem, and damage which may be physical, mental, or financial loss to the patient or relatives. So the conclusion for the doctor-patient relationship, it is at the core of the practice of healthcare, and is essential for the delivery of high quality healthcare in the diagnosis and treatment of disease, and the relationship itself is a part of therapeutic process. Many issues may complicate or negatively affect the relationship if not taken properly into consideration. So the special issues in the doctor-patient relationship are disruptive behavior by patient, consultation, referral, and second opinion. Under these points, the doctor and patient relationship will be disrupted, and use of chaperones or supervisors, and sports medicine where the issues will be raised, and work related and independent medical examinations, gifts from the patient, and use of remote sensing and monitoring devices by the doctors, and political action by the physician, ethically sound innovation in medical practice, and ethical practice in telemedicine, and medical tourism. So these are the special issues where there are chances of problems arising in the doctor-patient relationship. So lastly, we'll see the professional boundaries in the doctor-patient relationship. So doctors are responsible for maintaining appropriate professional boundaries in the doctor-patient relationship. It is usually considered unethical to accept gifts, monetary or otherwise, from your patient. Financial dealings with the patients other than fees for care provided are generally unacceptable. In most instances, it is unwise to hold an enduring power of attorney for your patient. All your communication with patient, including via social media and other electronic communication, must be appropriate and professional. So there is an inherent power imbalance in the DPR. So your patient is vulnerable whether seeking assistance or guidance or treatment. This can cause problems in different ways, in breaches of trust, non-therapeutic motives or incentives intended to benefit the doctor, and development of inappropriate personal relationship. Professional boundaries must be maintained at all times. You must maintain the appropriate professional boundaries. Some areas pose particular difficulty. So, particularly coming for the gifts, do not seek or accept any inducement, gift, or hospitality that may affect or be perceived to have the capacity to affect the way you prescribe, for, treat, or refer patient. Do not put pressure on patients or their families to make donations to other people or organizations. Patients who wish to give cash should be referred to any policies of your employer or practice that relate to gifts and donations. Most organizations have clear policies concerning the receipt of gifts. You should never give gifts to a patient. There may be situations when refusing a gift or koha may be difficult, impolite, or appear to be culturally insensitive. Do not encourage patients to give, lend, or bequeath money or gifts that will benefit you. Financial transactions between doctor and patient other than fees for care provided may compromise the relationship. You must be honest and open with the patients, employers, and other organizations about any financial dealings. Patients may develop a relationship of trust with you and seek to involve you or ask you to represent them under an enduring power of attorney. Maintain professional boundaries in the use of social media. So that's all for today's class. So we have seen the just introduction for the doctor-patient relationship, and then we have seen the duties of the doctor and rights of the patient, and lastly, professional boundaries in the doctor-patient relationship. Okay, thank you all.